Am I audible?
Yeah,
Okay. So, okay, two people have joined today. We'll start. We have to read this new paragraph. Man meets the battle of life. Yogesh ji, will you read?
yeah. Man meets the battle of life in the manner most consonant with the essential quality most dominant in his nature. There are, according to the Sankhya philosophy, accepted in this respect by the Gita, three essential qualities or modes of the world energy and therefore also of human nature. Sattva, the mode of poise, knowledge, and satisfaction. Rajas, the mode of passion, action, and struggling emotion. Tamas, the mode of ignorance and inertia. Dominated by tamas, man does not so much meet the rush and shock of the world energies whirling about him and converging upon him as he succumbs to them, is overborne by them, afflicted, subjected, or at the most, helped by the other qualities. The tamasic man seeks only somehow to survive, to subsist so long as he may, to shelter himself in the fortress of an established routine of thought and action in which he feels himself to a certain extent protected from the battle, able to reject the demand which his higher nature makes upon him, excused from accepting the necessity of further struggle and the ideal of an increasing effort and mastery. Dominated by Rajas, man flings himself into the battle and attempts to use the struggle of forces for his own egoistic benefit to slay, conquer, dominate, enjoy, or helped by a certain measure of the sattvic quality, the Rajasic man makes the struggle itself a means of increasing inner mastery, joy, power, possession. The battle of life becomes his delight and passion, partly for its own sake, for the pleasure of activity and the sense of power, partly as a means of his increase and natural self development. Dominated by sattva, man seeks in the midst of the strife for a principle of law, right, poise, harmony, peace, satisfaction. The purely sattvic man tends to seek this within, whether for himself alone or with an impulse to communicate it with one to other human minds, but usually by a sort of inner detachment from or else an outer rejection of the strife and turmoil of the active world energy. But if the sattvic mind accepts partly the rajasic impulse, it seeks rather to impose this poise and harmony upon the struggle and apparent chaos to vindicate a victory for peace, love, and harmony over the principle of war, discord, and struggle. All the attitudes adopted by the human mind towards the problem of life either derive from the domination of one or other of these qualities, or else from an attempt at balance and harmony between them.
Right. Thank you. Okay, Sarita has joined. Okay. Yeah, so we'll see if we can find some examples. That should be the main attempt. Otherwise, though, the text is pretty clear. Man meets the battle of life in the manner most consonant with the essential quality most dominant in his nature. Okay. Before this, in a summary way, basically, he was saying that the Gita is reconciling a very great contradiction, that of the spiritual life with the absolute slaughter. Okay, and Arjuna himself is a Rajasic man, but who is governed by Sattvic ideals. Like this is the background before today's passage. So, to continue, there are, according to the Sankhya philosophy, accepted in this respect by the Gita, in this respect by the Gita. Okay, the Gita reconciles three philosophies: Yoga, Vedanta, and Sankhya. There's going to be a chapter titled like that. So the ideas of the three philosophies are synthesized by the Gita, and Sankhya is one of the oldest philosophies, one of the oldest. How old, if we have to say, it is given by Kapila Muni, sage Kapila. इसमें आता है in the Vibhuti Yoga chapter, 10th chapter, that Siddhanam Kapilo Muni, among the Siddhas, among the perfect ones. I am Kapila, and he is, I think, third generation or something from Brahma himself. So it's a very, very ancient philosophy, quite simplistic, dualistic basically. Anyway, it's not about Sankhya, uska ek proper chapter hai. There are, according to the Sankhya philosophy, accepted in this respect by the Gita, three essential qualities or modes of the world energy, gunas jisko kehte hain, and therefore also of human nature. Sattva. Now, these words are important, and I might say here, I'll try to find out the exact passage from the synthesis, but he says that this discovery that all nature is shot through or governed by these three qualities, it was not such an easy discovery. It took some effort and some evolution for the rishis and humanity basically to get this knowledge, get this discovery that there are three gunas like this. It's a very big discovery. And they have, at another place, he will say, they have each 1,000 aspects. So, sattva, tamas, rajas are there, but then, how they play out in the world play. So, they are multifaceted that way, many, 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 many aspects like that. So, what coming, the sattva, the mode of poise, okay, balance, knowledge, and satisfaction. So, one of the words which is used in the 14th chapter for sattva is prakasha. Prakasha literally means the highest light. But basically, poise meaning balance, having a stability, knowledge, and satisfaction. Rajas, the mode of passion, action, and struggling emotion. That restlessness in the emotional being, it comes because of the Rajoguna. Okay. Okay, I'll not go back to. I refer to one shloka from towards the end of the third chapter, wherein Arjuna asks why a man falls into sin, and the direct answer which Krishna gives is Kama Esha, Krodha Esha, Rajoguna Samudbhava. It is Kama, also called passion. It is anger and born of Rajoguna, like that. Anyway, it is breaking slightly the flow of this. It's quite simple actually. Tamas, the mode of ignorance and inertia. For this, the two words in the 14th chapter are aprakashaha and apravritti. These are the two words. I'll find out the shloka later on and publish it here on the group. Dominated by tamas, man does not so much meet the rush and shock of the world energies, whirling about him and converging upon him, as he rather succumbs to them. Because inertia. You're not the leader, you are led, in other words, if you want to say, okay, is overborne by them. Overbear mane dominate karna. Afflicted. Afflicted means kind of troubled. Subjected. You are the subject of that. You are not able to govern that which is kind of controlling you, governing you, etc., etc. So, or at the most, helped by the other qualities, because there is always a mixture. It's not just purely one. One can dominate, but there is a mixture. And I mean, all sadhana requires this self-analysis wherein we see that, this action of mine, from which guna is it being motivated? What is dominant right now? And tamas is the one which has to be absolutely, both actually, the lower gunas, both of them, tamas and rajas, they have to be removed, controlled and removed as much as possible. And sattva has to be increased, and then finally gunatita. In the integral yoga, Sri Aurobindo explains that because he does not use nature just to liberate oneself from nature. His idea is to transform nature. So in that, ultimately, even the gunas are transformed. Tamas becomes shama, shanti. Rajas becomes tapas, pure force. And sattva becomes jyoti. We have done this earlier. Just repeating for sometimes it's necessary. Or at the most, helped by the other qualities, the tamasic man seeks only somehow to survive. Okay, that survival instinct basically. To subsist so long as he may, to shelter himself in the fortress of an established routine of thought and action. Now, this gives a kind of stability also. If you have no established routine, then life can be in disarray. But I mean, here basically it's kind of the mechanical nature of tamas, how it makes our life mechanical and like that, very machine like, mechanical basically, that is the word, adjective. An established routine of thought and action in which he feels himself to a certain extent protected from the battle, able to reject the demand which his higher nature makes upon him, excused from accepting the necessity of farther struggle and the ideal of an increasing effort and mastery. So there is no effort even to master oneself, nothing of the kind. You're satisfied, jaisa chal raha hai, and largest part of humanity is like this. Percentages where it is not easy to say, but majority of humanity belongs to this category. It's also, in synthesis, he calls it the physical man, who is dominated by that physical consciousness. Okay. And again, there is no, like, not direct relation between the tamas, rajas, and sattva and the physical, vital, and mental, but there is a correlation. So roughly you can say that they correlate with each other. It's quite obvious, right? Dominated by rajas, man flings himself into the battle and attempts to use the struggle of forces for his own egoistic benefit, to slay, conquer, dominate, enjoy, or helped by a certain measure of the sattvic quality. The rajasic man makes the struggle itself a means of increasing inner mastery, joy, power, possession. When that element of light comes in the rajoguna because of the admixture of the sattva guna. Okay, the battle of life becomes his delight and passion, partly for its own sake, for the pleasure of activity and the sense of power, partly as a means of his increase and natural self-development. So a Kshatriya would loosely fall under this category. That the Rajoguna is coming under the influence of course, the good Kshatriyas. The party which was destroyed in the Kurukshetra war, both were destroyed actually. As I said, only 10 or 11 people were left survivors. But, the party on the side of Adharma. So they were not of this kind, We have to keep in context throughout the reading of the book, the setting in which this teaching is given, so as to appreciate it best, right? Dominated by sattva, man seeks in the midst of the strife for a principle of law, right, poise, harmony, peace, satisfaction. This paragraph itself, its reading and rereading, can be a very good help in doing this analysis of one's own nature. How I am at times tamasic, how at times I am rajasic, which guna is dominant in me, etc. It's a very useful paragraph for that purpose among all the texts that we have read so far. The practical application. The purely sattvic man tends to seek this within, okay? Whether for himself alone or with an impulse to communicate it, when one to other minds, but usually by a sort of inner detachment from, or else an outer rejection of the strife and turmoil of the active world energy. So therefore, if that is the case, that you do not want to, I mean, participate in the turmoil of the active world energy, वो ठीक है, that रजोगुण में involve होने से you will never be free. But the idea of rejecting the world or ignoring it or running away from it, etc., because you're seeking your own personal liberation, that is not accepted by Sri Aurobindo. He says no. It is the duty of the enlightened person to bring the light which he has into the world and make this earth itself into heaven. Very, very clearly, he says this again and again in his works. All right. But if the sattvic mind accepts partly the rajasic impulse, it seeks rather to impose this poison harmony. That idea of imposing, that dominance, that activity comes from the Rajoguna. Poison harmony upon the struggle and apparent chaos to vindicate a victory for peace, love, and harmony over the principle of war, discord, and struggle. All the attitudes adopted by the human mind towards the problem of life either derive from the domination of one or other of these qualities or else from an attempt at balance and harmony between them. It is quite, of course, much more comprehensive treatment will come in the relevant chapters, but this itself is also quite useful for one's self-analysis, right? I mean, I
Anmol,
would be, yes, certainly.
this sattvic, if you really see, I mean, we've all been through half a journey of life. If you see the number of people, as you rightly said, that a large majority seem to be in the tamasic mold predominantly. Everybody is a combination. But to really engage with people who are dominantly sattvic, right? And he's beautifully explained that in terms of what it is. How come, I mean, with this clarity and the scriptures, etc., but the human engagement shows the probability of meeting the sattvic community is very less. And I feel the sattvic numbers are very less as well.
You're very right. You're very right. They're very less. I mean, it's the intellectuals, the scientists, the scholars, that kind of people, and those who are living predominantly in the mental consciousness. So naturally, I mean, in most human beings, mind is yet to be evolved fully. There is this chapter called The Three Steps of Nature in Synthesis of Yoga, second chapter. Very clearly, he says that the one thing is which nature has evolved, second, which is evolving, and the third, which it is yet to evolve. So the thing which it is evolving right now is the rational mind, the intellectual mind. It is there. It's not a common possession of humanity. So basically, yeah, I mean, the number of sattvic people, and they are not so much percentage wise. They would not be. I mean, total world population thinking, not even 1%. That's the reality. So, yeah. I mean, most ideal would be to मतलब बहुत deep में जाना है to look for an example for all of these. But I think as such the text is clear and we can move to the next paragraph reading unless anybody has anything to share or question. Yes, Dhavalji.
Anmol bhai, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
This sattva and tamas are extreme poles
No,
in that sense, isn't it?
No. So I'll tell you. Sattva is, if one word, if you want to define sattva, the word is prakasha. If in one word you want to define rajas, the word is pravritti. Okay? And then tamas is defined in two words in the Gita. Aprakashaha, apravritti. So tamas is the opposite of both rajas and sattva. It has neither light nor tendency to act. Therefore, like mother says, our main aim in life should be to know ourselves. It is our chief purpose and all, right? So if you are trapped in the tamoguna, you will just keep going round and round that mechanical thing and you will just not be able to figure out what's going on because उसमें light ही नहीं है, वहाँ darkness है. So then one has to, struggle and make an effort and come out of it somehow. Just do something, go for a walk, go for a run. किसी तरह रजोगुण को बढ़ाओ ताकि उस तमस से बाहर निकले. Tamas is most dangerous, most destructive.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking that it's exact opposite poles, but now that you clarified, no, it is not. So it is a
It is opposite, yes. but it is opposite of rajas also.
Also, okay. So then the next follow-up question is, how do you distinguish? चलो एक बार तो हमने हमारे में तो जान लिया कि right now at this particular instant of time or in this particular action, I am behaving from, tamas or rajas as a tool for self-scrutiny, yeah, or self-introspection. Now, how do you distinguish? Because if these two kind of make the other one as opposite, because it quite many times appears that, okay, this man is sattvic but also tamasic. So how do you?
It's a mixture. नहीं, you have to see predominantly क्या गुना है. Like Shri Aurobindo, before his years as a yogi or sadhak, was predominantly a sattvic person. Okay. You can tell that from his nature of a poet and his writings and all that, and the accounts of his life by people. That's one example that comes to mind straight away. Everybody is having one guna which is more dominant. It might be cases that two are there, but generally one guna is dominant. And it's very easy. आप humanity पर just ऐसी नजर मार करके देखो, and you will see most of the people are quite satisfied and smug and complacent and all. They don't want progress, nothing change, they don't like, etc. So it's dominated by tamas that way.
आपकी बात सही है,
और
वो दिखता है,
इंडिया
but
में भी, हाँ,
हाँ,
इंडिया का एक जो पॉइंट मैंने सुना है एंड थोड़ा उस पर चिंतन किया है, एंड आई फाइंड इट टू बी ट्रू, कि स्टिल वी आर कमिंग आउट ऑफ दैट तमस विच started basically really enervating us as a nation in the 18th century. अभी तक भी हम उस तमस से पूरी तरह बाहर नहीं आए हैं.
वो करेक्ट है,
And-
आई एग्री
हाँ
विथ यू.
हाँ हाँ, टेल मी.
बट सी, इफ यू लुक एट पॉइज, अब ये तो देख के नहीं पता चलता ये
हाँ,
आदमी
देख के नहीं पता
पॉइज में
चलेगा.
है या ये
करेक्ट.
लेजीनेस में
इट कैन बी
या ये
कंफ्यूजिंग whether it is tamas or whether
है.
it is sattva. It can
हाँ,
be confusing.
उसके लिए मैं क्लैरिटी सीख करता हूँ, तो
Then
उसका
you have
क्या?
to see the knowledge, you have to see the clarity in the person. अगर केवल पॉइज है और वो पॉइज के अंदर कोई क्लैरिटी नहीं है, कोई प्रकाश नहीं है, कोई इल्यूमिनेशन नहीं है, then that is the poise of inertia.
Poise of inertia is what exactly that is. Inertia is
Yeah,
is exactly
yeah, yeah.
because these qualities exist at all levels, and
Yes.
it is very I mean, it's very
And
confusing whether it's.
yeah, and I mean, as always, this is not for so much for, it's for self-analysis, for
No, I
self.
agree. It's
हाँ.
for, yeah, self scrutiny के लिए
Sometimes
है.
we
I
may be
don't.
thinking that, we are quite satisfied and all that, but we may be just tamasic and we are flattering ourselves that we are sattvic. It is
No,
possible.
true.
There might be phases
No.
in life or, like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, no,
The
I want
Anmol,
benchmark is actually,
no.
जैसे बोलो ना, प्रकाश, क्लैरिटी. तो जो इस तरह के उसमें होगा, उसको हर एक चीज के बारे में क्लैरिटी होगी. सत्व ब्रिंग्स इल्यूमिनेशन. इफ यू रीड द संस्कृत वर्सेस फॉर सत्वगुणा इन द 14th चैप्टर, वो वर्स पढ़ने मात्र से आपको यू विल फील अ काइंड ऑफ प्रकाश. अभी जस्ट सर्वद्वारेषु देहेस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानम यदा तदा विद्यात् विवृद्धम सत्वमित्युत. Look at the feel of the verse, no? Sarvadvareshu, from all the doors of the body, all the indriyas, tej.
Yeah.
Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate. When light is literally springing forth from every door of the body. Now, how many people do you find who are so radiant? Very few. Jnanam yada tada
Anmol,
vidyat vivruddham sattvam ityuta. When there is the increase of knowledge and light like this, then you should know that it is the sattva guna which is increasing. Yeah,
Otherwise,
yes,
it is a poise of tamas. Okay.
it can be.
Anmol,
One has to see it with a very minute eye. So, yeah.
in what we read, there are two words which I wanted to highlight and ask your guidance. See,
Yeah.
it says the purely sattvic man tends to seek this within. So the first thing is that he knows that this light is that, that essence which is the sattvic person is going within first. So it categorically says that first you got to engage with that. So this magic mantra that we always hear in all the classes that we've been doing is offer, right? So offer to that within, and then it says the next line, because all of us are, existing in the world, there are challenges. So it says it seeks rather to impose this poise and harmony upon the struggle and apparent chaos
That
to
is when
vindicate a way.
the
So
Sattvic
this
mind
means,
yes,
so what it implies to me is this offer thing. So firstly, you have to be connected to the light within as a sattvic person. And then whatever be the challenge that you are facing, because we all go through very
yes,
unpleasant, that's the way it is. To
yes,
be in that poise to offer to say, my Lord, this challenge is coming and you engage with it, right?
yes,
This
yes,
offer thing seems to be the way and the
yes.
engagement
Correct,
model of a
correct.
sattvic person, right?
By offering, you will get that light from the divine within you, and you are still in a condition where you are the instrument. You are not Trigunatita yet. You are still the instrument. You feel yourself as an instrument, but into that instrument, the light of the divine comes. The clarity comes, what action has to be done. And then, with that clarity, you go ahead and with the necessary force, do what is needed to be done. Like that.
Correct.
That you're right.
Anmol, the reason why I bring this is that all the sattvic people we meet, when you go to a Rishikesh, all the ashrams, etc., 99% of the people that you meet, which are connected to the name of the Lord, in any case, don't engage with life. They are, monks.
That
They are,
is
so
exactly
this model
correct.
of what he's saying, to see that in real life
That
in
is
India,
that is
where people
because
are engaging with life is very, very
exactly,
negligible, because they all are,
exactly.
the sattvic
This is
people are all
actually
in renunciation.
exactly that is why I heard somebody say that Sri Guru Rohitare, actually I should say his name. He said this all life is yoga. He said this is the greatest sentence in the English language because by writing this, Sri Aurobindo has made such a fundamental correction. See, spirituality in India is still very escapist. Okay. And it has been like that for quite a long time, and it will take some time before that starts to change in a noticeable or significant way. It is changing. One can see spiritual people also doing works of the world and all, but largely it is for one's personal liberation or like that, and they don't engage. That is correct. That sannyasvad jo hai, it still tends to dominate. That राजर्षि वाला जो चीज है, that अभी वो it has not tilted, the balance has not tilted, still the balance is more in favor of the sannyas tendency.
Right.
Anmol bhai,
Yes.
another in this sentence, it seems that when a sattvic mind accepts rajasic impulse, it is an imposition to वो शांत कर देने की चाह रखता है to
Yeah.
justify victory. So it's in that sense it's a negative where actually you need rajas to fight it out, especially the war, because in the earlier background of this
Yeah.
war, Gita accepts war as a necessity. So
Exactly.
if a sattvic man, then you become a pacifist in the sense which Sri
Exactly.
Aurobindo says. So
Exactly.
this is a negative sentence according to me. Is that correct?
Negative sentence. How?
In the sense that a sattvic man should also be in control of the energy in such a way that if he has to enter the rajas at will, he should be able to enter and fight it out. Like एक
Correct.
हाथ में बाला, दूसरे हाथ में भाला.
Correct. Correct.
I should be able to at will control my mode also.
Correct.
Why
Correct.
can't I not? Why should I be dominated by this mode?
Correct.
Is my question.
What is the question? But what you're saying is correct, but where is the question?
The question is here, the imposition which is made is contradictory.
To impose this poison harmony, आप ये कह रहे हैं?
हाँ, it imposed the poison harmony upon the struggle. जब स्ट्रगल नेसेसरी है तो क्यों इम्पोज करनी है हारमनी वहां पर?
अरे तो नहीं, तो वो तो अल्टीमेटली हुई ना. जैसे कृष्ण ने भी लड़ाई लड़वाई, तो वो किस लिए था?
पर
हारमोनी
वो बाद में
एस्टेब्लिश करने के लिए था आगे जा करके.
नहीं, वो बाद में हुआ. द रोड टू पीस वाज थ्रू
इट
वॉर.
डजंट मीन कि पॉइजन हारमोनी को इम्पोज करना है वैसे, या
अच्छा
कुछ
अच्छा
भी
अच्छा,
हो
ओके.
सकता है. बट बेसिकली सत्व मीन्स कि आई हैव मोर क्लैरिटी, एंड व्हेन आई एम नॉट सेटिस्फाइड विद दैट क्लैरिटी जस्ट फॉर माई सेल्फ, and I want that clarity should be there everywhere, then I bring that rajasic element and I impose it. It's happening.
ठीक है,
वो
ठीक
तो
है.
होता ही है. There are like
Anmol, if you
Swami
could
Vivekananda,
elaborate
for
even.
example. He was मतलब so enlightened and everything, but this thing vital was also so strong that he would kind of, अगर आपको कुछ सिखाना चाहते हैं तो he would not leave you
Sorry,
until. श्री अरविंदो के साथ
whose
भी
name
यही
did you
हुआ.
take? I missed out. Okay, whose name did you take?
स्वामी विवेकानंदा.
हाँ 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 हाँ.
हाँ. So, he was so enlightened and so much knowledge and realization basically. But that part in him, if he is wanting to give you some clarity, okay, it will come very forcefully from him.
Yes, I
If you
totally
read,
agree.
if you read Sri Aurobindo's account of those 14 days in the jail when Swami Vivekananda came, he said he would continue to speak on a point and not stop until he had said everything that was there on that point. And that was actually his nature. So, a combination like that.
No, you are absolutely right, because I'll share the Chicago speech. It's amazing. It is so forceful. वो हिला देती है आपको.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so Swami Vivekananda, I completely agree. Even his writing is very Raudrik in that sense.
Yeah.
It makes
He
you.
is Rudra, he is Shiva.
हाँ.
He is Rudra. A radiant glance from the eye of Shiva. This is how Sri Aurobindo describes him.
So he's a Shiva's
But
Vibhuti, that
He's
means.
a great Vibhuti of Shiva, very great Vibhuti. Yogesh ji, tell me.
Anmol, this line, how do we bring this about in day-to-day life? You've been reading this scripture, Gita, so close to your heart. If you could say, how do you
Which line?
make this happen? It seeks rather to impose this poise and harmony upon the struggle and apparent chaos, to vindicate a victory for peace, love, and harmony over the principle of war, discord, and struggle. This discord and struggle all of us face in our day-to-day life. So this way which he's giving, that the Sattvic person does this, can you just shed some light as to how do you do this?
People organize these conferences and they, try to basically bring that light. मैं क्या बोलूं, जैसे बुद्धिस्ट monks वगैरह करते हैं. 1 second. To vindicate a victory for peace, love, and harmony over the principle of war, discord, and struggle. Yeah, basically all that spiritual people who are called spiritual people, who are highly dominated by the Sattva Guna, what they do basically, they meet leaders and they hold these courses or conferences or this and that, and they try to bring that, and they try to do it in, as powerful a way as they can. We see it around us. जो गुरु
Vindicate
वगैरह
means to
active हैं.
justify, right? Vindicate
Sorry?
is to justify. Vindicate means to justify.
हाँ,
So
vindicate means to
that,
justify.
so in this sense, if I read this sentence, it seeks to rather impose and to justify victory of peace. So that, in that sense, I'm saying that this sentence in that sense is a negative. In the sense,
Maybe it might be that way, but as such, what he's saying is clear.
no, that is true. That is true. But because
Basically the idea that
Hmm.
peace, love, and harmony जो है, these are, the sattvic things. So you bring them by whatever means necessary. That is what is meant.
No, true. So he says, no, war is the last recourse. When everything is,
Yeah.
only war helps only when there is a spiritual upliftment. Otherwise, war is inessential.
It is part of the, evolution of people. मतलब वो जो पहले आया था ना कि that warring, अभी कोई उस stage पे है evolution की, wherein that tendency is still there to fight and all. So instead of channelizing it in a negative way, that way, you channelize it to serve dharma, to, and in that process, you evolve.
So only to transcend, basically, to
Exactly.
transcend at a higher
You cannot remain
level.
there. You cannot remain there.
No, war is only essential till the point you have not transcended.
Correct.
After that, it is inessential. It is not
Obviously,
needed.
that we said. इसके पहले पैराग्राफ में आया था ना.
Correct. Utility.
Till its utility is there.
There, correct.
But there will come a time, he says, मतलब exact words नहीं याद आ रहे हैं, कि there will, it's not to think that peace and this are not, there will come a time when they will.
Ahimsa, he uses the word ahimsa there. Ahimsa and
but till such time, war has its purpose.
War has its purpose. Yeah, correct. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's the, no. 8:39. Yeah, we can read the next one. Who would like to read? Sarita, would you like to read?
Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Please. But there comes also.
But there comes also a stage in which the mind recoils from the whole problem and, dissatisfied with the solutions given by the threefold mode of nature, Traigunya seeks for some higher solution, outside of it or else above it. It looks for an escape either into something which is outside and void of all qualities, and therefore of all activity, or in something which is superior to the three qualities and master of them, and therefore at once capable of action and unaffected, undominated by its own action in the nirguna or the trigunyatita. It aspires to an absolute peace and unconditioned existence, or to a dominant, calm, and superior existence. The natural movement of the former attitude is towards the renunciation of the world, sannyasa, of the latter towards superiority to the claims of the lower nature and its world of actions and reactions. And its principle is equality and the inner renunciation of passion and desire. The former is the first impulse of Arjuna, recoiling from the calamitous culmination of all his heroic activity in the great cataclysm of battle and massacre, Kurukshetra, losing his whole past principle of action, inaction, and the rejection of life and its claims seem to him the only issue. But it is to an inner superiority and not to the physical renunciation of life and action that he is called by the voice of the divine teacher.
Right. So basically, he's referring to the difference between sannyasa and tyaga, wherein sannyasa is the actual physical renunciation of things, and tyaga, which the Gita considers superior to sannyasa, is not the actual renunciation, or if that is also there, then so be it, but the inner renunciation, where you have inwardly risen above it. Okay, so we'll read now again. But there comes also a stage in which the mind recoils from the whole problem and dissatisfied with the solutions given by the threefold mode of nature. जो हमने पिछले उसमें किया था, these are all permutations and combinations in the domain of the gunas, but one can, उसमें solution नहीं आता है because very simply it is the domain of the apara prakriti, ignorance है, and it can never give you basically a truly satisfactory solution to the problem. Then comes the impulse to go beyond the lower prakriti into the higher prakriti, the divine prakriti, etc. All right. So, dissatisfied with the solutions given by the threefold mode of nature, Traigunya seeks for some higher solution outside of it or else above it. It looks for an escape either into something which is outside and void of all qualities and therefore of all activity, okay, or in something which is superior to the three qualities and master of them. So, Traigunyamayi Maya, this word comes somewhere in the Gita, 7th, 8th chapter में कहीं आता है. So, the Maya Pati, the one who is the Lord, the controller of the Maya, okay, uski consciousness में dwell करना, as opposed to going into a condition wherein the gunas का ही total वो cessation या एक ऐसा equilibrium आ गया जहां पे गुना है ही नहीं, and if there is no qualities, there is no action basically. No action means no creation. It's a total static, and there is no ananda of creation. And the whole purpose of creation is ananda in the first place. If you withdraw back from it and go to a condition of, जो उसमें लिखा है, void of all qualities, then what was the initial purpose of the creation? उसका use क्या था? Right? This is a important kind of psychological point. which is superior to the three qualities and master of them, and therefore at once capable of action and unaffected. Like, जिन्होंने ईशा पढ़ा था या पढ़ा है, कुर्वन्नेवेह कर्माणि जिजीविषेच्छतं समाः एवं त्वयि नान्यथे तोस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते नरे. So you engage in the works. The second shloka है, इसके पहले ईशावास्यम इदम सर्वम यत् किंच जगत्याम जगत तेन त्यक्तेन. So the Lord is inhabiting everything, and आगे जाकर के उसमें आएगा सोहम अस्मि. You are essentially this Lord. Attain to this consciousness of the Lord, and therefore, even while acting, na karma lipyate. You will not be affected by the actions that you are doing. Your actions will be done in total freedom. Okay, like that. So therefore, at once capable of action and unaffected, undominated by its own action in the nirguna or the trigunatita. So nirguna is the first one, void of all qualities. Trigunatita is the one in which you have gone beyond the gunas in the sense of mastering them. Of course, this is more difficult. That's why it takes more time. It aspires to an absolute peace and unconditioned existence, or to a dominant calm and superior existence. Right? Absolute peace and unconditioned existence. मतलब तो कुछ है ही, निर्विकार एकदम. Absolute peace. Peace is there, that quality is there, but or to a dominant calm and superior. Here in the margin I've written. So that nirguna thing basically is what is called the nivritti marg. Nivritti माने छोड़ना, get rid of it. निवृत्त हो गए, सेवा निवृत्त बोलते हैं ना. So you have retired from this, now you have left it. As opposed to the Trigunatita one is pravritti. Pra meaning going forward, the evolution going forward in the progressive mastery of the gunas, and the manifestation of the divine consciousness goes on. That ananda of creation keeps on unrolling and discovering itself. It doesn't come to this kind of end, basically, right? Essentially, this is what this means. Now,
Anmol,
yes.
is there a difference? Because if you read this line, the fact
Which
that
one?
we are distinguishing Nirguna and Trigunatit, Nirguna saying that there's no active, there's
Void
nothing.
of all quality.
There's
Nirguna means no guna.
no guna, right? Because if you see the line, it kind of says as if this is where I don't have clarity. Are both of these the same thing? Because he's saying Nirguna or the Trigunatit.
No, no, no.
So it's
You're
one
not
and the
correct.
other are different, right?
No, no, no. One is you are void of all qualities, ठीक है? In the other one, you are master of them. तो एक में वो है ही नहीं. You've got rid of them somehow. But दूसरे में they are there with all their troubles and this and that, but you have mastered them.
So can I add here something, Anmol?
Yes,
Right?
yes, why not? Please.
I see this whole paragraph as a cause effect arranged by Sri Aurobindo in a very rational way. कि कैसे कि cause है, right? Cause क्या है? मैं परेशान हो गया हूँ. Mind recoils
Correct.
from the whole problem. अब
Correct.
मुझे दो विकल्प है मेरे पास. या तो
Correct.
मैं सारा छोड़ दूं या इसको मास्टर कर लूं. तो सारा
Either
छोड़
to,
देना.
ऐसे मैंने पहले एक एग्जांपल देने की कोशिश करी थी. Either to cut the knot, okay, which is easier,
हाँ.
or to loosen and unravel the knot.
Correct. तो ये वही है. निर्गुण means without guna.
Yeah.
Completely unconditioned existence. जो word beautiful explain किया है यहाँ पर. And
Okay.
triguna means I have to go to a superior existence where I am under control of this and I can enter at will into any of the three. So this recoil becomes the cause and the effect is either nirguna tit.
Enter into any of the three, मतलब they don't, वो उस फॉर्म में नहीं रहते हैं. So
हाँ.
you have attained mastery over them, and then you use that according to
हाँ.
your
When I say enter into it, meaning I use
it's
them
not
at
a
will.
fall back into the lower nature.
No,
That's
you
for the
don't
sake of
fall
clarity.
back, but you
Yes.
have the ability to use it at your own
Use
will.
them. Correct.
So
Correct.
if I want to
Correct.
become a Raudra by nature, I can become a
Yes.
Raudra by nature.
Yes.
If I want to become Sattva by nature,
Correct.
मेरी wish है ऐसा. मतलब
Correct.
ये
Correct. Correct.
and ये संन्यास is the also effect of this निर्गुण और सब छोड़ देना
वो
है.
अभी
तो
आने वाला है. That's the second part of the paragraph.
हाँ. Correct.
The natural movement of the former attitude is towards the renunciation of the world. संन्यास. यही जो योगेश जी कह रहे थे कि ऋषिकेश में या जैसे
छोड़ देना है.
टेंडेंसी होती है. हाँ, तो इट इज
सब
दैट.
छोड़ना.
हाँ, and it can lead at times to, kind of very disconnected from life or nirasta. Nirasta is a right word. It
करेक्ट
can, हाँ, वो नीरस हो जाता है.
एक्चुअली अनमोल भाई अंक के दृष्टि से देखें तो सब कुछ छोड़ना है तो मैं खुद शून्य हो गया, अब मेरे पास कुछ है ही नहीं बचा,
Exactly.
इसलिए वॉइड शब्द भी कितना एप्ट है, शून्य शब्द भी इसके लिए कितना
The
एप्ट है.
words, though, the choice of words of Sri Aurobindo is inevitable. I mean, you cannot find a better word to describe the same thing. Total
हाँ
mastery over the English language. And because he's not written it out of his mind, it has
हाँ
just come down en bloc. जैसे मैंने बोला था ना, whole
हाँ
like this, it just
हाँ
came on the typewriter and thak, 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 like that, it went in the array.
अच्छा
Yeah. So the natural movement of the former attitude is towards the renunciation of the world, sannyasa, of the latter towards superiority to the claims of the lower nature. And its whirl of actions and reactions, and its principle is equality. And the avyana. One is equality. Second, the inner renunciation of passion and desire.
हाँ बहुत
Inner,
क्लैरिटी.
हाँ, inwardly rising above it. That is much more difficult to do.
करेक्ट.
छोड़ देना उसको, and if you leave something, but if the desire for that thing remains in you, the Gita's censure, मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते.
नहीं, और वो छोड़ना भी कितना
यस्त्विन्द्रियाणि
हाफ
मनसा
फील. हाँ
नियम्यारभतेर्जुन कर्मेन्द्रियैः कर्मयोगम असक्तः स विशिष्यते. ये इसके बाद वाला, इसके जस्ट पहले वाले श्लोक में आता है.
इवन अनमोल भाई, इवन एज वी एज ह्यूमन बीइंग्स, राइट, जब हम किसी चीज को छोड़ देते तो एक अधूरा सा फीलिंग रहता है अपने में, पर हम
Yes,
किसी चीज के मास्टर बन जाते हैं तो वो
yes,
कंप्लीटनेस का फीलिंग आता है, देयर इज अ फुलफिलमेंट इन एंड देयर इज अ जॉय ऑफ.
exactly. So it is 3.6. कर्मेन्द्रियाणि संयम्य य आस्ते मनसा स्मरन् इंद्रियार्थान् विमूढ़ात्मा मिथ्याचारः स उच्यते. Who controls the organs of action but continues in his mind to remember and dwell upon the objects of sense. Such a man has bewildered himself with
Correct.
false notions of self-discipline.
Yeah.
So, and that happens. Not to say that it's all part of the evolution. संन्यासा का थोड़ा मिक्सचर रहेगा, त्यागा का रहेगा, but the idea that we should be clear, which is clear in a way, so it's not very difficult. It's
Even there is a
Anmol,
bad practice which is
yes,
being practiced by
and
either. Sorry, go ahead.
and its principle is equality. Can
हाँ.
you just elaborate that? How is it equality?
Actually, equality वाला मुझे भी clear नहीं हुआ था. Second part was clear. I was thinking.
Second, मुझे भी समझ आया, but
हाँ,
see,
equality कैसे clarify करना है? 1 second. Of the latter towards superiority to the claims of the lower nature and its whirl of actions and reactions and its principle, जो त्याग है, its principle is equality.
समता.
हाँ बताइए. समता is
समता.
a Sanskrit word, but how is equality its principle? How is equality the principle?
Superiority towards the claims of the lower nature of its whirl of actions and reactions. मैं दोनों में समता रखूंगा. That is has to be taken in that spirit. न सुखेषु उद्विग्न दुखेषु विगत स्पृह, वीत राग भय क्रोध, all these स्थित धीर मुनि उच्यते.
Superiority to the claims of the lower nature. Yeah, I think you're right. हाँ, आप सही कह रहे हैं कि
मैं
भाई
ऐसा इंटरप्रेट कर रहा हूँ.
ये जो द्वंद्व होते हैं,
हाँ
दुख, लाभ, हानि, etc.
हाँ.
being
I don't know the verse number, sir, but you can correct me.
verse number तो इस वक्त मुझे भी याद नहीं आ रहा, but there are several verses on samata in the Gita, almost 18,
18, 19 you had identified, no?
Anmol, here for Trigunatita, it says this is the latter which is elaborated. So he says
Trigunatita.
of the latter
हाँ,
towards superiority to the claims of the lower nature. So one is saying that if you take the Trigunatit, where action and activity is there, so you are doing the activity and this activity is superior to the claims of the lower nature and its whirl of actions and reactions, and its principle is equality. I think this is what Dhaval is saying, that
yeah,
you are engaging but with complete
yes,
equanimity with whatever is the outcome, which
yes,
is not in the previous case if you look at action, because you are not happy if it doesn't go the way you want it. So here you are saying that you are still engaging, but your outcome, you are absolutely in a equipoise. I think
yeah,
that's what it seems to be saying, because in the previous one, in the fact that you're not doing an activity, You are not doing an activity because you want to be out of this. So sannyasa,
Exactly. We want to
there's
get
no
rid of
activity.
all activity. Pीछा छुड़ाना उससे.
Correct. But here he's saying the activity and its worlds and all that aspect is there. But in this, you're equipoised. And therefore, the principle seems to be equality, like Dhaval is saying.
So there is a, जैसे यहाँ पे conquest की बात और mastery की बात हुई थी. There is a verse in the 5th chapter, number 19, first half of it. Ihaiva tairjitah sargo yesham samya sthitam manah. So ihaiva means, iha means here. Ihaiva means here indeed. Here also, matlab in this world, remaining in this world. Tair jitah sargo. Tair means by them, jitah sargo means the creation has been won over. So even remaining here, the creation has been won over by those yesham samya sthitam manah, whose mind is established in equality. It's a very powerful and very, क्या बोलना चाहिए, very important and fundamental verse. And yesham samya sthitam manah nirdosham hi samam brahma, because the Brahman, it is samam, it is equal, and it is nirdosha, without any doshas. Nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmat brahmani te sthita. Therefore they dwell in the Brahman, like that. But the first part ना, वो जो पहले आ रहा था mastery का और conquest का and all that, just as an example, that verse came to my mind. This is what the Gita says at another place also.
Because if you see, Anmol, in this it says, in a renunciation of passion and desire, if you see the whole Mahabharata, as we saw in that B.R. Chopra, at no point was Arjun indifferent to the desire of winning. At every stage where they were in a challenge, he wanted to win, right? It wasn't a complete, complete surrender to Krishna, saying that, my Lord, I'm your instrument, working is the best instrument, whatever be the outcome. It's at every stage when they have a loss, when his son gets killed, at every stage his desire is, no, but we must win, right?
That is also because वो एक personal उसमें reason होगा, no doubt, but the main driving, because he's basically a dharmic man, it is impersonal, that for the sake of righteousness, for the sake of the establishment of the dharma, we have to win this war. There is no question about that. There is no ambiguity about that.
So can you also say then, Anmol, that the true Trigunatit is always aware that right and righteousness will always conquer? Yes. See, one is that you are not sure, and one is that my Lord, both sides behind is you after he gets the darshan.
Right. Both sides behind is you is fine, but you have to see on which side truth is there and which side falsehood is there. You have to take sides with the truth.
Correct. But he's reassured that the Lord will be on the side of truth, right?
Yes.
Then obviously he's operating not out of this aspect of saying that, look, I'm indifferent. He's coming from saying that, look, your will should be done. Thy will would be done.
Correct. But what I meant was, when I used the word impersonal, was this, that he's not such a small person that he's doing it just for his own personal gain and self gain. It's not like that.
Right,
he's a great prince and warrior who is largely dominated by an impersonal consciousness, idea, aspiration, etc., to serve dharma and to establish dharma. And spiritual progress means increase in impersonality. If there is no increase in impersonality in the true sense, then spiritual progress has not happened. There is, kahin pe Shiv Aurobindo ne kaha bhi, and it's obvious. If you remain that narrow and personal and, restricted kind of thing, then progress has not been made. Okay, so we'll just
agree.
The former is the first impulse of Arjuna, recoiling from the calamitous culmination of all his heroic activity in the great cataclysm of battle and massacre. Cataclysm means debacle. The former is the first impulse of Arjuna, जो first chapter में आती है, right? Recoiling from the calamitous culmination of all this heroic activity, blah blah, losing his whole past principle of action, inaction, and the rejection of life and its claims seemed to him the only issue. Losing his whole past principle of action, okay, inaction and the rejection of life and its claims seemed to him the only issue. पलायन, वो भागना चाहता है. But and because even at that time, तब तक, I mean, this kind of idea has started being recognized as the thing which a right person does or a spiritual person does. ये आया था इसी बुक में, कहीं ना कहीं ये आएगा. So Krishna is making a very important correction for those times also. A sage is regarded, or a correct person or a spiritual person is regarded as somebody larger. दोनों ideals हैं तब भी. वो sage वेज का ideal तब भी आ गया था. Rajarshis were there who were carrying on the dharma yuddha and everything. But this idea of sannyas etc. was also there because, synthesize तो कृष्णा ने किया ना, clarity तो कृष्णा लेके आए हैं. It is the third synthesis जो ये कृष्णा अवतार लेकर के आए. Otherwise, these conflicts were there. सांख्य दर्शन जो है वो तो यही कहता है. Vedant, it used to be pragmatic, but by the time of the Gita, what was the condition of the Vedant? I mean, it is difficult to say. It's not easy to say. Okay. So, but it is to an inner superiority. That's obvious. And not to the physical renunciation of life and action that is called by the voice of the divine teacher. This much is clear. That Tyaga is superior. Acha, Arjuna asks this question, made to ask it by Vyasa or whoever is the writer of the Gita, very categorically in the beginning of the 18th chapter. Sannyasasya mahabaho tattvam ichhami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha prithakkeshi nishodana. So tell me separately, I want to know the tattva of sannyasa as well as tyaga, and then Krishna tells you that, sarva karma phalatyaga, that is what is preferred by the rishis, the manishi, something the word is there. But this question is asked explicitly in the last chapter of the Gita.
So is this an elaboration, Anmol bhai, of that question here?
Not elaboration. Abhi yahan pe Sri Aurobindo has started hinting this idea. This idea will
अच्छा
come
अच्छा
again and again in the Gita.
अच्छा अच्छा
One of
ठीक
the this is one of the most important ideas of the Gita, to
हाँ
not confuse between sannyasa and tyaga. That
फिजिकल
will
एंड
be better.
एक्सटर्नल
To
रिनंसिएशन
make
हाँ
it absolutely clear to your
हम्म,
mind. It's obvious, no? मतलब आपको कुछ
या
भी
या
चाहिए और आप नहीं मुझे नहीं चाहिए, बट अंदर से आपके अंदर उसके लिए बड़ी तृष्णा है, तो
करेक्ट
it is
करेक्ट
मिथ्याचार.
करेक्ट करेक्ट
हाँ?
ट्रू ट्रू
But
Arjuna,
Anmol,
after leaving the war battlefield, yes, we'll come. Yeah, I'll just give the example. कुछ उसमें खास
yeah, sure.
नहीं है. So, what happens? He gives up the battlefield, वो चला जाता है, and then, within a short time, that Kshatriya nature will come out, and he will again come back. So,
या So Anmol
that,
bhai, this is I mean, it will be worth pointing out the current practice that is being used in Jainism also. वो छोटे छोटे बच्चों को दीक्षा दिला देते हैं.
हाँ,
भाई उनमें मोड ऑफ इग्नोरेंस तो ज्यादा रहेगा, तो वो आगे चल के मतलब वो
that is why,
बैकफायर होगा ना.
this Sri Aurobindo says clearly. अच्छा, टिबेट जो है,
हाँ
आप
वो
जैनिज्म
बुद्धिस्ट
की
में भी
बात कर
ऐसा
रहे
है
हो,
ना. हाँ
इंडिया में एक सर्टेन पार्ट में, ठीक है.
हाँ हाँ
I heard Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev saying in one of his videos that there was a time in Tibet when every sixth person was a monk. Every
ओह
sixth person was a monk. तो क्या हुआ अल्टीमेटली? चाइना को रेजिस्ट कर पाए?
नहीं
फिर दैट्स इट.
करेक्ट.
ऑल दैट स्पिरिचुअलिटी, क्या हुआ उसका नतीजा? मतलब
Even in Dharamshala
became
today, if you
incapable
go,
of defending yourself.
but even in Dharamshala, you've gone there today, you'll find all
Uh,
children monks.
I know they all took refuge at that time, no?
पर वो बच्चे
So
भी अभी वो
Anmol,
लाल
Yeah,
पहनते. सॉरी या
yeah, yeah. So it's
yeah, I was
basically
saying,
not what the Gita teaches.
एग्जैक्टली दैट इज व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू
And
से.
Sri Aurobindo, in fact, I will paste that. It's a very important text. Yes, we have time little bit. I'll come to Yogesh ji. So he says Buddhism disturbed the old Aryan order.
In that sense, correct.
Yes. And Buddhism, with its excessive emphasis on monasticism, and it says it created two separate classes of men. One who are the monks, other are the laymen. ऐसा नहीं होता था पहले. It was
अच्छा
not
अच्छा.
like this.
So
This
it has
balance was
both good
disturbed
side
by
and the bad
Buddhism.
side, no अनमोल भाई. It had
Sorry?
a good side कि वो ritualistic break कर दिया, जो
Yes.
कर्मकांड का वो break
Right,
किया, but the
right,
bad
right,
side
right.
is it introduced this part.
Yes, and ultimately it is that which caused the downfall of India. It became weak. जो क्षत्रिय हुड था वो कम होने लग गया. people started thinking that
Correct.
the aim of life is to run away from life. Just see how it sounds to you. The aim
Yeah.
of life is to run away from life. It is so
No,
stupid.
but
I mean, it sounds so contradictory, so self-contradictory.
immortality by cessation of birth. It's just that line it reminds me.
Exactly. Anyway, it's 9:05. Yogesh ji is
Yeah,
waiting.
Anmol, this
Yeah.
line,
Hmm.
see, this is a fundamental, if we all reflect on our journey of life, it says, and its principle is equality and the inner renunciation of passion and desire. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you see, it's a renunciation of desire, and yet the aspiration that the right must be done, right? When Rama ki Sita ko wo le gaya, biwi thi uski, when he takes, Ravana
Here in
takes her,
this
he
context,
doesn't say that I don't have an aspiration
correct. So
to,
it's important to
get my
remember
wife
this
back.
half a phrase from the Gita. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. I am that desire which is unopposed to dharma. तो धर्म के अविरुद्ध जो इच्छा है, जो उसके विरोध में नहीं है, वो मैं हूं. इट कम्स इन द 7th chapter. So Rama's wish to kill the evil person and get his wife back, it is not out of desire that he wants to enjoy his wife's company or this or that. It is not the case. It is for dharma and it is motivated by dharma basically. You are right. It's an important point to highlight. ये मैं काफी सालों से जहां भी मुझे मौका मिले मैं ये हाफ अ वर्स गीता का कोट करता आता हूं. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. धर्मा विरुद्धो भूतेषु काम. भूतेषु मीन्स इन बीइंग्स. धर्मा विरुद्धो का संधि होगा विच्छेद. धर्म अविरुद्ध, तो जो धर्म के अविरुद्ध है. काम अस्मि भरतर्षभ. O bull of the Bharatas, I am desire that is unopposed to dharma. Yes, but you were maybe
What
not
is the
finished
verse
the
number,
point. मैंने
Anmol bhai?
आपको
Can
बीच
you
में.
repeat the verse number?
Yeah,
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm telling. I'm looking.
Yeah,
for it.
Anmol, this is very important because if
Yeah.
you see the 4 foundations of Indian way of life, of the Hindu way of life, it starts with dharma and there is karma after that, right?
Yes.
How can there be enjoyment if there is people who are oppressing you, they're taking over your country, they're
Absolutely.
plundering you, they're
Absolutely.
looting you, and you're not doing anything. And you say, no, but that's a desire. Arey bhai, desire to aspiration hai na.
अरे, it's
It is
just
to
an excuse for
safeguard and be on the
laziness.
path of righteousness or
Yeah,
dharma.
it's just an excuse for the 7.11. It is double by.
7.11. Okay.
Yeah. You are right. These are the 4 purusharthas, and artha, kama, dharma, moksha. You're supposed to do these things. Matlab, this is how the soul evolves in its journey of experiencing ananda from a lesser level to a higher level. It is ananda only, but artha और kama में वो आनंद नहीं है जो धर्म में और ultimately जो मोक्ष में है. But they are also lower grades of ananda which you have to pass through in order to truly make yourself eligible for the higher forms of ananda.
True.
In that sense, if you
Common
see,
sense.
Yogesh bhai, मुझे तो ऐसा लगता है कि even if you were to look at through the desire sense, the desire to even be united with God is also a desire.
Yes,
In that sense.
it is the desire which frees you from all desires.
हाँ,
तो
so
एक जगह कहते हैं,
correct,
it is
correct.
the one desire which frees you from all
From
other
all
desires.
desires, yeah, very true. Rambana है ये तो sentence.
Exactly. Right. So time wise, though we could do only 2 paragraphs today. It doesn't matter. We went through it quite deliberately. The idea is not to rush through these sessions at all.
No, Anubhav bhai, this
जितना भी धीरे
deliberation
जाना
really
पड़े,
helps.
even if it takes 2 years, doesn't matter.
हाँ, नहीं, this deliberation really
Because it's
helps.
a very important book, and
Yeah.
I should say here that अकेले पढ़ना, analyze करना, समझना, it's not so easy. So if the group energy is there and everybody kind of joins in the collective Jnana Yagna, then it becomes fruitful for everybody and one gains a lot. So yeah.
Yeah,
Anmol bhai,
Anmol,
ये पेज
I'll
तो
just
बहुत
share
बढ़िया
2
है.
points.
Yes. Sorry?
See, first
पेज
is that,
बहुत बढ़िया है.
Yes.
यही रखते हैं ये.
Yes, Yogesh ji.
yeah, so Anmol, what I was saying is that firstly, to get the clarity that, which is the emphasis of the last 2 paragraphs, that it's not the guidance to sannyasa, but to a trigunatit. So that itself,
Sannyasa ke liye, so if you want to look for pair of words, then the pair of words is sannyasa as opposed to tyaga, and nirguna as versus trigunatita. You are
Acha,
all right,
correct.
but pair of words,
Correct.
strictly speaking, this would be the pair of words.
Correct. So
Yeah.
it's firstly that clarity comes in here.
Yeah.
And the most important is that it is first that you have to act. But on what is the guiding principle for that? That clarity saying that there has to be an aspiration to be on the path of dharma is
Exactly.
the basis where you become the instrument. This
Yes.
clarity, I'm telling you, it takes you. Nobody gives you that clarity. You could be listening to a Sadguru, whatever. So this scripture is so powerful that it categorically gives that clarity because we want to bring it into our life.
Very true.
This essays of the Gita is not just a reading material. It is how
No.
do we bring this into our day-to-day engagement with
If
life?
we don't bring this into our life, then Sri Aurobindo's writing this book has kind of gone in waste.
True.
We have,
But it's very clear. It's very, very razor sharp
see,
clear
don't
in
forget,
these two paragraphs.
the person whose book we are reading, okay, he was not just a scholar and a poet. He was a politician. He was a revolutionary. He was preparing an armed movement underground for almost 9 or 10 years. Only when he got the assurance from Krishna that what has been started in Bengal, it will now spread throughout and the country will reach freedom. That is when he stopped paying attention to the revolutionary movement, the armed rebellion which he was preparing. तब उन्होंने उस पर attention देना personally बंद किया. So he was a man of action completely. There is no doubt about it. Even Pondicherry आने के बाद भी he has sent his disciples to the First World War, to the Second World War, openly supported the Allies in the Second World War. So the person is an absolute man of action. Politician यार, आजकल तो politician के नाम से घबराते हैं कि ये तो सारे falsehood में होते हैं. Look at Sri Aurobindo's politics at that time. What kind of nationalist politician, what kind of dharmic politics he, sets an example of by his own life and actions. So all these, I mean, ठीक है. So we are reading the book of a very, very genuinely great person. I am not using words like avatar or all. They should more be felt rather than said. But
Absolutely.
in terms
Absolutely.
of his genuineness and his greatness and authenticity, it is just, we are all very lucky to read this book. ठीक है. So shall we just be silent for half a minute?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stopping the recording.